What's up, everybody? Joel's back with another reasoning sesh where I challenge the status quo of the wisdom of the world and the church by diving deep into the ancient scriptures, uncovering meanings glossed over by translations, really cut into the metaphysical cores of these ancient texts, and applying it practically to situations in our present day. And today, I'm going to be talking about how even the smallest, weakest of things can be super powerful and overcome almost any obstacle.
Come now and let us reason together. Come now, we can talk it over.
But before I begin, I gotta say, if you like these videos, give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe for more like content. Let's kill that algorithm because this message is really accelerating forward as we cross this threshold. This is just gonna become the new normal. It's not gonna be the great reset, it's the great awakening. And we are the agents in place to actually manifest that potential and bring that utopia to pass in our own lives and in that of those around us. But with that being said, I'm just gonna jump right into it. Today, I'm going to be reading some from the Mishlei, or the Hebrew Proverbs, spoken by Agur, the son of Agape, which he spoke to Itiel and Ukal. He gives several categories of things that are really worth pondering, but one of these that I really want to point out is this one, where he says, there are 4 things which are little upon the earth, but they are exceeding wise. And this is really worth thinking about, because first he names the ants, which are a people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer. You know, when you observe these busy little critters, when they're out, they're always working, they're always gathering food, there's nothing else that they're doing. And if you look back in the Mishlei, you see also from the Proverbs of Solomon, where he says the same thing. Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provides her meat, or her food, in the summer, and gathers her food in the harvest. So while the weather's good, while things still look good, it's still stocking up and preparing for the time when things aren't so good. And that's what we got to do for ourselves. And what is the real food? Well, that's the living logos. That's the daily bread. As it says, man does not live on bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. And that word is truth. That's the living logos. And when you stock up on truth in the times of oppression and lies and manipulations and deceit, then you can really move forward, and Source can teach you those things which will take you to the next level, even though the world is in utter darkness. Then he goes on to say the conies, or some translations say badgers or hyrax, or like rock rabbits. The Hebrew word is safan. They are but a feeble folk, yet they make their houses in the rocks. So even though they're weak and they're vulnerable, they make their houses in the rocks that can actually defend themselves against any kind of intruder or any kind of environmental damage. They're safe in the rocks. Then it goes on to say the locusts have no king, yet go they forth all of them by bands. And when you see locusts, they don't have a leader, but yet they're operating in the hive mind mentality where, like schools of fish, they all flock together and they all have this common direction and they manifest that for themselves. Even though as individuals, there's no way you would understand them to actually have that kind of understanding. They're tapping into that broader conscious field. There's no one leading them. And when you see that swarm of locusts, you can see that. It will move one way and then it will move the other way, and nobody's really leading it. Even geese in formation have a leader, but locusts are a whole other story. And that's what we can do as we tap into Source and the broader perspective. As individuals, will actually create that which is better for not only ourselves, but society as a whole. We'll all be moving together as our own individual pieces of the puzzle and fitting into that greater picture. So these are 3, and then finally he says the spider takes hold with her hands and is in king's palaces. So even though you might clean your place as thoroughly as you can, all of a sudden you'll just look and see a spider that just waltzed in and started setting up its web. You know, where does the spider come from? This is the way it is. Even in the king's palaces, spiders exist. And when we take that incentive, we too can find ourselves in the greatest of places, no matter how small or no matter how repulsive the elite think of us as. Spiders are literally the weavers of webs, and they trap the flies, those creatures that just swarm on dung and rotten food. So even though in the physical it looks like it's impossible or that you're totally helpless, there's that inner determination that can literally set you up with a home in the rocks and in king's palaces. And both the ants and the locusts, they operate in this hive mind mentality when they tap into the broader good and they see that higher perspective, even though as individuals, there's no way that they could actually reason that out. But this is the perspective that Source is trying to beam to all of us. So tap in and really exercise that broader perspective, that greater potential that all of us have advantage to. We all have the potential to actually tap into this and realize a higher potential than that which we've been programmed with. But it takes that inner work, that real commitment to a higher power to actually bring that forth and manifest that potential in our own lives. And when we become that potential, other people can see that, other people can mirror that, and will literally create ripples in this physical time-space dimension where we can manifest more of that potential and more of the utopia which we've come knowing we are deserving of, knowing that we're not here to be manipulated, we're not here to be coerced into fear. We are here literally to download the kingdom of heaven into this earth plane. With that being said, I gotta say, I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. I really do. And even though this message is being censored by YouTube, or not even YouTube, the kingdom of darkness, it's still falling on those ears that are ready to receive it, that are actively manifesting in their own lives the kingdom of heaven. And from that first step, we will realize the subsequent steps that we as a society will take as this wave crashes on the shores of a whole new continent. We were born for such a time as this, to literally see the judgment carried out on the systems of evil that were going on undercover all this time, but now the veil's pulled back. Everything that they were doing is just manifest, and we can see it for what it is. And that is the first step to actually creating something different, to realize what wasn't working, to actually manifest that which we know we deserve. So keep on keeping on. Hold the line and know that Source has got this. And when you tap into that power, you got this too. I'll check you in another reasoning sesh, guys. Joel signing out once again. Agape. Salaam. Namaste. Shalom.